Hey Revit gods, how are you? So excited. Today we're gonna model a bar in Revit. So we're gonna go through the basics modeling practices and steps in creating a family from scratch. So let's get started. So if you're in Revit, we're in Revit 2018. We're gonna hit the new button under families. And right here are all the family templates that we could choose from. Now, because we're doing a bar, normally I would start with a casework family, but this has so many parameters that we can't delete that are built into this family. We're really just going to start generic. So we'll start with the generic model. And right from here, I'm going to use reference planes to generally design my family. So that was Create tab right under reference plane. And I'm going to draw a few reference planes to really outline the basics of my bar. So this will be an L-shaped bar. So this will be the front part of my L there. This will be the back part. So we'll draw my bar in, and then I'm going to use dimensions to create parameters. So we'll create one parameter for the width, and we'll click this button up here. So all we have to do is click on the actual dimension, click on the create parameter button. We'll go width, and we'll continue to create some more, going through the same process. So this would be my short width. I like to do underscore. Then we need bar depth. Create these guys. Need a depth. And we'll apply the same parameter there. So here's the L shape of my bar using reference planes. Now that depth, I'm gonna hit the lock button on that because I want that to be a constant size. And I don't need to adjust the sizes yet. It's just important that I have the parameters so far. So once I'm here, I'm gonna go to my front view, and before I model anything, we're gonna go to the front view of this because I want to denote where the top of my bar is gonna be. So we'll go to the Create tab, go reference plane, and we'll call this the height. And we'll go back to my floor plan. So once we have this set as the height, what I want to do is I want to give my bar, I want to give it a plane to model off of. So I'm going to click on that reference plane and rename it to top. So once I rename that to the top, I'm going to come back into my floor plan and actually model the top part of my bar. So we'll go to the Create tab, hit the extrusion button because we want to create an extrusion. You want to make sure that your chain is deselected because this will prohibit you actually locking your lines in as you draw them. Okay, that will over constrain. You'll get that sometimes, which is totally fine. This means that you're doing a good job. Awesome. So we have our bar top created. Oh, and before we close this out, we have to set the work plane of this. So we're gonna hit the set work plane, and we're gonna set that work plane to the top. That way, this top of the bar models, you'll see. We'll go to the front view. Bam, models right on top of that. So I'm gonna go back to the Create tab because I want to give this thickness. We'll create a param called bar thickness. All right, and we'll take that solid and we'll drag it down, click up to drag it up, and we're all set. So before I move forward, I'm gonna go to my floor plan and actually test this out to make sure that this works. So we'll go to family types, that button right up there, and we'll adjust the width, change that to 8, hit apply. Looks like that moves. Change that to 6, see if that moves. Awesome. So we're good to go. Now what I want to do is I want to create more meat in here. So we need sort of a offset here on the side. We need space so that we can fit bar stools under this guy. So I'm going to create some more reference planes and several more parameters. And we'll start with these guys here. We'll take these two params that I'll make. This is for the actual bar. So these two, we'll call this toe kick. Mostly because I have no idea what else to call it. And then notice that the parameter took the size of the first dimension string that I clicked. Then we'll create dimension strings for these guys in the back, because this is where I want my offsets to be. So we'll click on both of these as well. It's going to take that 5 as priority. We'll call that bar offset. Awesome. So we got toe kick, then we got bar offset. Now we just need one more for that inside seam, and I need some reference planes for there as well. And this one, I'm not going to draw all the way because I'll easily get confused. And I'm just going to recycle the same bar offset parameters. You can feel free to use different parameters for this on your own. Again, the size doesn't matter of what we're choosing. We just want to get the parameters in there, and then we'll be able to go back in later and change what the sizes should be. So once I'm here, I want to model that little slither of the base for my bar. So all I'm going to do is, again, we'll use the extrusion button, and we'll draw another extrusion. So we'll go, and actually before we do that, we'll set the work plane now. Instead of it being from the top, we'll set that to the reference level. We'll hit OK. So we'll draw again. Chain is unchecked. And notice I'm not locking that one. You just kind of need the mains locked. The main line that it's on, we need that locked, but the other ones aren't as important. Awesome. So it looks like we're all set. We'll hit the check. I'm going to go in my front view. So here's my base that I drew, and I'm just going to drag this up so it touches, and then drag the bottom so that touches, and we can lock it. And it looks like we're pretty much good to go. So I'm going to hit the default 3D view so that I can see what this looks like. And here's my bar. Oh, this is looking good. So now, what I want to add is some bar stools in front of it. So we'll go back to our floor plan, and before I put any bar stools or do any additional work, first of all, I really want to actually just set my bar to the right dimension. So first of all, let's set the visual style from, instead of wireframe, we'll set this to hidden line. And under my family types, we'll start to type in actual dimensions for what things should be. So my width, we'll make that at 10 feet. A toe kick, we'll make it at 10 inches. My height, make 3 feet. My depth, 2.6. My bar thickness, 2 inches. Bar offset, what was that? That thing in the back, let's make that, I don't know, 2 inches. And my short width, let's make that 5. All right, hit apply, bam. That looks way better. Now that looks like a bar. So once we have that generally fallen for us, we have the general dimensions. If you want, you can fix your dimensions for where they land and the reference planes and the whole nine. If you're a stickler about this stuff like I am, you could go back in and clean all this stuff up. But what I want to do now is I want to add some bars in front of this. So actually, some bar stools in front of this. So actually what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move my dimensions out the way, because this is where my bar is going to go. Okay. All right, so they're nice and out the way because we're going to put some bar stools right in front of this guy. So the first thing is I want to find a bar stool. You can rip one offline at BIM Object, and we're going to browse for a bar stool. So we'll type in bar stool. And you'll choose one that looks good. I think I'll go with that one. And download that guy. He has a Revit family available. Alright. So once that's loaded, I'm going to open Revit again and then drag and drop my bar stool. So here's my bar stool. This has a center reference plane that I'm going to use to kind of lock things in. So we're going to load that into our family here. We'll drop it anywhere in space. And then we'll click on my bar stool and you're going to hit the space bar to rotate it around. And to get this to actually sing, what I want is I want to give this a place to hinge on the right. So we'll go to the Create tab. We'll draw a reference plane. And that reference plane will be for the stool offset. So we need a parameter that determines how far off the bar that stool is going to sit. So we'll click on that and we'll call this stool offset. And we're going to snap that in place with the lock button, and then we'll use a line tool to snap the front face of the bar to the center. We'll lock that in place. All right, so we have the general parameters for this created. Now for some reason I'm still seeing this. Seems like my bar is not high enough. So let's go into family types and we'll set my stool offset first of all to 1.6, and my bar height, let's set that to 3.6. Yeah, let's give it a nice tall height. All right, so go back to my floor plan. So this is actually looking good. Your height, depending on what you choose, might be different. So I'm gonna create a similar reference plane on the other side. We'll go to create reference plane. And we'll draw a plane from one side to the other side, because again, this is where I want to create a similar offset for the other side. And we'll set it to stool offset. So what I want to do is I want to create it so that as I stretch the size of my bar, more of these stools populate. And I'll walk you through how to do that. So we'll click on my stool and we'll use the array option. And we'll copy that over. And actually, before I do that, you want to make sure that this array option is not set to second, it's set to last. So what we're going to do is we're going to define the last element in the array so that the array can fill in all the other elements in between. All right, so we'll copy that over. Bam. Don't have to do anything here. But before I start to play with that string, I need to lock that second array element array to the reference plane. So we use my align tool. lock, bam, lock. We'll use the tab key so that we can grab that family, lock in that direction. Awesome. So we'll click on our broader family, we'll click on our array, and then we'll hit add parameter, and this guy will be number of stools. We're going to nest this on the graphics. And then now what we want is we'll generate a formula that can tell us, that'll allow us to, you know, generally place this thing. Whoops. Looks like I made a big mistake because this first guy is based off of the toe kick and not my stool offset. I thought it looked funny. So I'm gonna actually go back and redo this really quickly. All right, and we'll go back one more. All right, so that needs to be locked there. We'll remove constraints. There we go. And draw my reference plane again. That's gonna be stool offset, which is still set to my funky measurement, but that's okay. So we're gonna go to family types before we do anything. Go to set that to 1.6 again, and set our height to 3.6. Hit okay. And we'll take our stool again. We want to make sure that the last is selected. Move that to the last array, and we'll use the align tool to set this in place. We'll hit tab to set it in place in both directions. All right, so I think we're ready. In the last piece of the puzzle, we need to write a formula to get this to work. So, gotta recreate my parameter for the array. So we'll go number of stools. We'll group that parameter under graphics. All right, so I think we're ready. So we have this number of stools param, and the formula we'll write is width. Actually, we'll go parentheses. This is a little bit of math here that you need. You need the width minus the stool offset times 2, because you have it on both sides. So another parentheses, and we'll divide it by 2 feet. All right, so that's our formula. We'll hit apply, and then voila, it does the math. So if I increase the width to, let's say, 12 feet, it should be able to stretch these guys equally. All right, so this is pretty awesome. This is just what determines the number of stools to add in there in between the array. So once we're done, we probably want to create some family types, and we'll create a bar that is, we'll create new type. We'll go 12-inch, a 12-foot bar, and another new type that is maybe 8 feet bar, whichever you want. And that one will be 8. Apply. Awesome. So you got a small bar, you got a long bar, you have two types that you can load into Revit. That should work equally well. But once you're done, I believe that is it. So that's it. You can go ahead and maybe add some materials by hitting this material button and give it some colors. Really, I don't know, have fun with this thing. You know, do what you got to do. So, but guys, this is how you model a bar in Revit and create a Revit family. Before we do anything, we got to save this guy. So we'll save it. go to favorites, training, families. If there isn't a folder here yet, we'll create a folder called casework. And we'll call this bar, and I'll toss my initials at the end. And what I'll do is I'll start a new project, none, Imperial. And within this new project, let's go to a floor plan, which is what we're looking at now. I'm gonna hold on Control and Tab to go back into my family, and we'll load this family into my brand new project. We just want to test it out. Bam. So here's my family. So we got a 12-inch, got an 8. This works perfectly. So this is how you do it, Revit gods. This was fun. We'll catch you later.